Next, and a survey's revealed British adults are suffering a stress epidemic because of the always-on culture from work. The survey by the insurance company AXA found that 4 out of 5 adults feel stress during a typical week, and pressure from work's one of the main contributing factors for this. Checking emails and taking phone calls in the evening and over the weekend was linked to the always-on culture. Now, to talk a little bit more about this, I'm joined by Pam Locke from Locke Employment Law. So, Pam, thanks very much for joining us. So, why has this culture come about? Why are people always on?
Well, I think it's always been there. There's been some people in the past that are susceptible to feeling the strain earlier than other people, but I think increasingly employees are finding that they have got to answer telephone calls, they've got to respond to emails out of hours, otherwise they're at risk of losing their job. So I think there's a big concern about security of employment and feel the need to do that.
Because that's the thing, obviously, that they're wanting to do their job properly. If the boss does call, or if you do get an email out of work, they're obviously feeling a little bit uncomfortable. What should they do if they feel like that?
Well, I think the first thing is they've got to discuss expectations with their boss. So, I mean, usually what you should have is some form of one-to-one opportunity, and if not, try and find a way of going in and having a chat. Pick the right time. Don't pick it when your boss might be under stress, because that's obviously not the right time to have that conversation. But it's important to understand what the expectations are from the role, and also to relay to your manager actually what other things you've got outside work. So, for example, quite often family pressures might put an impact on the time that you can spend at work and what you can do out of hours as well. So discussing it, communication is critical in everything to do with employment law. That's the first thing. Employers owe a duty of care, so they have to look after the health and safety of their employees, and that includes how many hours they're working. So there's also things like the working time regulations that regulate how many hours you should be working without a rest. And that's something else to bear in mind, because it's not just how many hours you're in the office, it's how many hours you're effectively on it, as you put it.
And do you think it goes on throughout an organisation structure, right from, you know, junior positions all the way up to senior management? Is it happening throughout different organisations?
Well, I think senior managers have to set what, you know, the culture and the scene in which employees are going to operate within. I'd have to say that I think younger employees are probably better at controlling their work-life balance, but you know, you will get people that are ambitious and want to work very hard and will put in long hours, and that may be a good thing, but it could also reflect the fact that they need more training, and maybe they're spending too much time working on something, and actually that can cause stress and anxiety as well.
And something else we wanted to talk to you about was a new study that talks about self-employed women feeling a lot of pressure to get back to work very quickly after having a baby. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, self-employed people are in a difficult position, because on the one hand, employed people might say, well, actually, you've got great advantages because you've got flexibility. We don't have that because we've got to work certain hours or work on certain hours. So, you know, there are some pros to being self-employed, but one of the biggest cons, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way, is that you're not entitled to get statutory maternity pay. So it means that when you're not working, obviously, if you're not able to earn, then you're not able to you know, earn an income as well. So it does put a lot of pressure on self-employed people to come back to work. One approach the government could take, rather than saying, well, you get the same entitlement as employees, is they could take the view that there's a 2-week period, which is a compulsory period, which employees have to take off on maternity leave, and that's a paid period for self-employed people as well. But they could take a different approach and you know, say, well, we're actually going to give you the same entitlements as employed women have as well.
Pam, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.